I'm Marleena Scott, and I'm the director of the Harrington Public Library, and I'm pleased to have the opportunity to welcome you all here today. As many of you know, and maybe some of you don't, this project is decades in the making. I heard someone saying, shh, we won't tell anybody your age. It's just a lot of people have been very invested in this project for years upon years. And it's been a long time coming, and it's been something that's been sought after. This event is the work that you're attending today is the work of sweat, dedication, and a whole lot of prayer. And we're finally almost here. There are many people that need to be thanked and recognized on getting us to this point. And I'd be remiss if I did not mention the work of the previous two directors of the Harrington Public Library, Betty Ann Van Vessen. Would you like to stand, Betty Ann? And Christine Hayward, who I don't believe was able to join us today, but that's okay. Their dedication to this project continues to this day, even though they don't have to show up and look at us every day anymore. There are many people. We also need to recognize our dedicated board members and friends of the Harrington Public Library. Our friends have helped organize this event, and our board has, again, been with us since the beginning, early 1980s, to get this project underway. I would also like to recognize our local support from our town. Our city managers, Norman Barlow and Amanda Marlowe. And they can step forward or wave or. And also our mayor, Dwayne E. Bivens, who you'll be hearing from in a little while. Our vice mayor, Micah Parker, and all of our council members, including Darren Simpson, Bob Farmer, Jack Stewart, Irvin White, and Michael Kimmy. I think I got everybody. And Jack Stewart. Yep, and Jack Stewart. We'd also like to extend our thanks to our local support and our levy court commissioners who have made it possible to be here today and have actually voted into legislation yesterday evening a library tax district for our area. So we will be able once we get this library built, we will be able to better fund it and better fund our programming. We also need to thank Kent County Administrator Ken Decker, and again, our commissioners, Paul Hertz, Robert Scott, Joanne Maston, Terry Pepper, Jody Sweeney, Alan Angel, and Jeff Hall. They've all voted unanimously to give us that tax district, and we couldn't be here today without them. And they can wave too. Even though we've had all of these individuals on our side, we would not be where we stand today without the funding generously donated by the state of Delaware in bond bill funding and ARPA funds. Our project would not have been possible without the support from our representatives at the state level, some of whom you will hear from soon. We would like to thank in particular our local senators, Dave Wilson and Dave Lawson, and Representative Shannon Morris. And I believe Mr. Wilson is here today. We would also like to thank for their continued support of library services, Secretary of State Jeffrey Bullock, and of course our Governor, John Carney, and First Lady Tracey Quillen, who again you'll hear from shortly. And they're behind me, so you can see them easily. Let's see. Again, we want to thank all of you, and without further ado, I would like to invite Secretary Jeff Bullock up to speak.
Thank you, Marleena. Can everybody hear me? Somewhat? Yeah, great. I don't do a lot of groundbreakings, and I was looking yesterday at my schedule, and I realized that this was the groundbreaking for the Harrington Library. And as Marleena said, it's been a while. in planning here. I really wanted to come by basically to say three things, and I'll be very, very quick about it. Number one, I just wanted to come by and thank Annie Norman, our state librarian. Annie, I don't know how many of you know Annie or know Annie well, but there is no more dedicated person to Delaware libraries, maybe in the entire country, than our own Annie Norman. And we've been lucky enough to have her as our librarian for quite a while. I won't mention the number of years because we don't at our age we don't do that anymore. But I will say this, that for as long as I've known Annie, and I've been Secretary of State for 14 years now, as long as I've known Annie, this library has been at the very, very top of her list. And when the funding for this library became available, and I'll talk about that in just a second, when the funding for this library became available, her number one, her number two, and her number three priority, and I'm not kidding about this, was the Harrington Library. And so this is the lady you have to thank. The second thing I want to say, and this is kind of a bonus thing to say because I didn't know our First Lady was going to be here, is I just want to thank Tracey for all the work that she does with libraries, with the Dolly Parton program, with our summer reading program, and with First, I think it's called First Chance Delaware. As Annie likes to say, Tracey likes to be on the front end of things. She likes to get her hands dirty, and she likes to really get involved with kids. And the work that she's done with literacy in our state is going to pay dividends for generations to come. So thank you to our First Lady very much. And the third thing I want to say is about our governor. And I don't know when John Carney was running for governor whether he thought that libraries were going to be like a big part of his legacy. I mean, you know, people running for office think about a lot of big things, and maybe libraries wasn't up there in the top two or three. And I give the two women behind me the credit for maybe helping him to focus on libraries, as he came into office and he developed. But the facts really speak for themselves here. I've worked for three governors: Tom Carper, Jack Markell, and now John Carney. And I wasn't Secretary of State during the Carper administration, and maybe I wasn't quite as focused on libraries back then. I'm sure we did a good job, but I honestly don't remember. And in the Markell administration, Annie was already on board and in my ear, and I know we did a good job in the Markell administration. And Governor Markell contributed over $70 million, I think almost $75 million to libraries during his time as governor, an historic amount, more than any other governor in the entire history of our state. And then John Carney comes along. And in his seventh year, we've already matched the amount of money in state money that Governor Markell invested in our libraries. And on top of that, when this ARPA money came along, this federal money came along, one of the very first things he did was to commit over $40 million actually, of that ARPA money to building libraries in our state. That's a big deal. And so people like me say things like, we wouldn't be here today if it weren't for blah, blah, blah. I can literally say, folks, we would not be here today if it were not for the commitment of John Carney to Delaware libraries. And so with that 70 plus million plus the 40 million, we're at $110 million and counting during the Carney administration in investments to our libraries. He has literally been a game changer for library services in our state. And so, Governor, on behalf of all the library people from Claymont to Delmar, and you've met most of them, and the ones you haven't, you'll probably meet soon. Thank you for making libraries part of your legacy. Thank you for being a game changer for library services in our state.
Well, when you're governor, you get credit for things that other people do, and you get blamed for other things people do. And this morning, I just took a lot of credit for what a lot of other people have done. And I see these youngins up here in the front. They left their yellow helmets under the chair. And they're eager to get to the groundbreaking. So I'll try to be brief because I really want you to hear from my wife, Tracey, who, as Secretary Bullock said, is a big supporter of of libraries, and in particular, getting our children engaged with libraries and reading at an early age. I've been to I was lieutenant governor, so I've been to a lot of groundbreakings. I've been to a lot of ribbon cuttings. And this is like one of the most amazing I've ever been to. Like, everybody's here. What are the people doing in town today? You got the school district representative, you got Senator Wilson here, you got the county representative with Jody, you've got police officers in the back, you got the town officials, everybody's here, because this is a big deal. It's a big deal, and it's a long time coming. I checked, my notes indicated the first state money came here in 2002. Some of the people weren't even born in 2002 that are here today. And there was a series of appropriations that I think allowed for some of the planning. Then the money went away. Then there was some money, Carolyn tells me, that was appropriated and they took back during the recession of 2008. But when you start at 2017 and going forward, particularly the last 2 years, the numbers got really big, really fast. And so we've got about 6 million, thanks to Senator Wilson and his folks in the General Assembly, and they need another round of applause for the sport. And he does a fabulous job, but without their support, it doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. And then we need to thank our congressional delegation who aren't here, because they basically doubled up the state money with about $5 million, $5+ million to make this day possible. And so now, after all these years, we're ready to go. And we got I've never seen more white helmets ready for a groundbreaking. Like, is everybody going to grab a shovel here? I think so. And we're also joined by the Friends of the Library. The Friends of the Library, could you stand up and be recognized? Because you folks have done an incredible job. They're already standing in the back. They let the other folks sit up front. You guys are amazing. What the Levy Court did is going to be incredible for this new library. And you're finally going to get a library separate from the facility where it is, an old funeral home in town, and worthy of the children. These children, who are our kids, who need a library. Many thought that libraries were going to be obsolete with the internet. You know what? They're more important than ever. More important than ever. As a gathering place, as a place where citizens can get access to that information and books, where children can learn how to read and appreciate it. And there's nothing more important. And we need to do a better job with it. And we're doing a better job in part because of this woman right here. And as Jeffrey said, it didn't matter the way I felt about these things with my wife and Annie and all of you. I better get on board. Sometimes when a group of people getting together and they're moving, sometimes it's better just get out in front and call it a parade. And that's what this is, a wonderful, beautiful parade. And one of the leaders of that parade is my lovely wife, Tracey Quillen Carney, and she's up next.
Thank you, and thank you for understanding my hat to keep my hair out of my face in the wind. A problem some of my friends up here don't have. But I do very much appreciate being included in this distinguished group of guests. Thank you, Marleena. Our First Spouse initiative, as Jeff mentioned, First Chance Delaware, has enjoyed an incredible partnership with Delaware libraries, and I'm very grateful for that. This groundbreaking is a big deal, marking the fulfillment of a commitment that's been made several times over the decades, that every Delaware library be housed in a building designed to serve its mission. And the 21st century, that mission is a lot. As someone said recently, bad libraries build collections, good libraries build services, great libraries build communities. And it's evident today by the turnout. This library is building a community, has built, is going to build, continue to do its mission very well. And to me, Jeff stole my thunder a little bit in paying tribute to Annie. But to me, there's no leader who embodies that ideal better than our state librarian, Annie Norman. Annie has an infectious confidence and enthusiasm about what we can achieve together. She sees needs clearly, she finds and creates opportunities, and she works with passion and purpose and a commitment to teamwork to get the job done. So I'm really happy to have this wonderful occasion on behalf of Delaware Library's many partners to recognize Annie and her team publicly. And Annie, to thank you for your leadership on behalf of our children and all Delawareans. Congratulations, Harrington, and thanks again for including me. Oh, and you're next? We just keep going up the ladder here.
Tracey. Well, good morning, everyone. The first thing that I will get out of the way is I should have been last. And part of that reason I say I should have been last is because for those of you that might be church members, I grew up Baptist, and sometimes we Baptist folks don't know when to sit down. But I'm no longer Baptist. I'm non-denominational now, so maybe I can just get it out of the way real fast. The other problem I have is I know the mics are here, but I really don't like standing behind podiums. I like to move around a little bit. So I think my voice is strong enough that you can hear me in the back. But one of the first things I want to do is for anyone who is an actual citizen that lives in the city of Harrington, give yourselves an applause. Anybody lives within the town of Harrington in the outskirts, give yourself a round of applause. For anyone that lives within Kent County, give you a round of applause. I'm saying that simply because, everybody can hear me in the back? Okay, I'm saying that simply because this groundbreaking has been a long time, as has been said before, in the making. And it couldn't have been done, as already said, without everyone that's here. Somewhere along the line, you had input. And one of the things that we like about where Harrington is growing and where we're beginning to take off is we decided when the new administration came in, when our city manager came in, Norman talked about moving forward. We've talked about this library, as she said, for decades. I'm at least 3 of those decades. I'm going to stop there. But with that being said, part of his plan was moving forward. And then when I became mayor, my slogan was coming together. This is an example today of people coming together for something that's worthwhile, coming together for something that will be a resource for people all over Kent County and abroad. As Governor Carney mentioned about the children, there is a young lady by the name of Whitney Houston. She sang a song many years ago, and that song went something like, I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. What better resource to be able to lead the way than a library? We'll have many, many resources for the young, middle-aged, and the not so young, but wise. That covers all the gray-haired folk. But we thank you for allowing this to take place. We thank you for all the people who came before us. And I just learned this term because I don't look at a lot of movies and stuff, but I learned this just the other night. We went to the levy court for a public hearing, and one of the people who spoke on behalf of making this thing come to a reality talked about he's been around long enough that when Harrington first had a library, it was a what? It was a trailer. And before all good movies come to light, what do? They put them in a trailer. So even though that trailer is not here any longer, we thank someone who had the vision to start it somewhere, albeit a trailer, from a trailer to a former funeral home that we're able to give life to today. So I thank everyone. I look forward to the groundbreaking, and I also look forward to when the buildings actually comes into fruition and is something that everybody can be proud of, and that you'll look forward to entering in and sharing with everyone what a major resource that libraries are. And just before I sit down, again, I don't want to not recognize everyone behind me, to the commissioners, to the representatives, and I'll just say to everybody who's attached to a row office, I got that term from somebody else, but thank you. To our not state superintendent, did I say something? But to our local superintendent who's here with us today, we just thank you as well for your commitment to joining us and bringing this thing to a reality. Thank you. God bless. These were my notes.
We have two more speakers. Commissioner Sweeney from Levy Court has requested to come and say a few words to you. So, Commissioner Sweeney, if you'd like to come over.
I don't need the hat. I just wear it. I thought the sun was going to be shining, so that kind of protects me a little bit. First of all, I'd like to recognize Commissioner Paul Hertz, Commissioner Bob Scott. They are the two commissioners that represent all the areas that include where Harrington Public Library is going to represent. Also, he's your county administrator, but he's our sheriff. Sheriff Norman Bailey is with us here today. Our public information officer, Kelly Pitts, is here, and representing Commissioner Maston is Jimmy Maston, her husband. Commissioner Maston works in our state legislature, so Jimmy offered to represent her today. I just want to talk a little bit about what we did last night. The accumulation of getting this done has nothing to do with Levy Court. That's all Marleena and past presidents of Harrington and your directors, and congratulations on bringing this to fruition. I think this is going to be a beautiful library. As far as the funding going forward is concerned, that's where Levy Court got involved. So I was not on board with that funding at first, but what I do is a process. I went to social media and I asked social media, what do you guys think about these new library districts? And overwhelmingly, people came back and said they were in favor of it. They were in favor of libraries. They were in favor of trying to make sure libraries are funded going into the future. So it changed my mind. It changed my mind for what libraries are. I'm the chair of the Kent County Community Services, which includes Parks and Rec and libraries. And I've been doing that for 15 years now. And I've seen libraries change in just that 15 years. They've gone from being paper libraries, right, Governor, to now the services they offer are digital. They offer specific services for children, book readings, concerts. It's an ever-evolving place. And I think that libraries going into the future are going to continue to be that ever-evolving place. And I represent Levy Court saying thank you. I'm glad we're part of it, and I'm glad we're here to continue to fund libraries going in the future. Congratulations.
No, yes. She wanted to introduce me. I said, I think you know by now that I'm Annie Norman, the State Librarian. So, and of course, everyone has already said everything, so allow me to summarize. So I have been, like the governor said, I have been to a lot of library groundbreakings. We have been in the freezing cold. We've been in massive rainstorms. I even lost a pair of shoes at one of these groundbreakings. But this is the one that I am most excited about. The Harrington Public Library is a priority on my library bucket list. This is the last public library in Delaware to achieve a professional library facility. This has been a dream of the series of library directors, Marleena, Chris, Betty Ann, and I kept telling them, no retiring until this project's complete. They have performed library magic in that old funeral home, and they deserve a professional library facility. The Harrington community deserves a modern library. Congratulations to the library staff, friends, the local officials, and the library community. The most recent effort for this project was actually jump-started by a visit from Senator Carper and Representative Lisa Blunt Rochester. It was in fall 2021. They were actually visiting the Milford Library because of telehealth, and I'm like, Harrington's really close. Can you come over here too? So they looked at the condition and the blueprints, and they're like, you need a PowerPoint. So I would like to thank Kay Wheatley for stepping in and helping Harrington make a case for their project, which turned out, thank you, Kay. And that turned out to be just in time to be positioned for the ARPA funding. Phew! It was meant to be. And bond bill funding with the ARPA match is critical for small rural communities. Thank you to Governor Carney and Secretary Jeff Bullock. They are both award-winning library supporters. And thank you to our legislators for their ongoing support for Delaware libraries. And as has been mentioned, just last night, the Levy Court adopted library tax districts for all the public libraries in Kent County. Thank you for addressing operating funding. It's the hardest, even more challenging than construction funding to raise. So in Delaware, we love firsts. And even though Harrington is last to get a professional library facility, they were actually first in the state to implement Dolly Parton's Imagination Library out of that little old funeral home. So many thanks to the governor and First Tracey for taking Dolly Parton's Imagination Library statewide and for helping us in our efforts to reach every Delawarean under age 5. So we've registered 50% so far and counting, so spread the word. And by the way, it's also time for summer reading. So be sure everyone sign up for the Summer Library Reading Program. It's all together now. It's very apropos for this project. So Harrington Public Library remains on my library bucket list until we're back here again with scissors for the library ribbon cutting. So congratulations to Marleena and the library staff and the friends, and congratulations and best wishes to the Harrington community. Thank you.
All right, with that done, I believe everybody has spoken. We are going to get into the actual groundbreaking with shovels.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice dirt there. That's Harrington.